goodness. Oh my goodness. Now, last night, with the housemates in the arena performing their wager task presentation was simply unreal. Ladies and gentlemen, it was unreal, but at the same time, it felt so real. I was so terrified. I was so terrified. Ladies and gentlemen, these housemates, oh my goodness. Listen, they outdid themselves. They outdid themselves. I wish I could give them a standing ovation right now, but hey. An ovation is an ovation. Wow. Wow. Now, sometimes, these housemates can be pretty mediocre with the wager, right? But this time around, they really did great. And even though Big Brother gave them a loss for their presentation, for their performance, I kind of feel like Big Brother was just trying to take back, the grace he extended to them last week. Remember, their previous wager, well, Big Brother did not want them to feel too bad, so he just graciously gave them a win. But this time around, I felt like Big Brother decided that, okay, I'm going to be savage, I'm going to be brutal, I'm going to take back my grace, right? And aside that, there's also the food hoarding going on in the house. Guys, we're going to talk more about that much later on this video. But back to the wager again. Ladies and gentlemen, these housemates outdid themselves. They were fantastic. They were phenomenal. They were amazing. They did great. They did amazing. And it's always so refreshing to see these housemates, perform their wager in the arena on Friday night as compared to when you see them rehearse. When you see them rehearse, it tends to be very discouraging because some of them can be unserious, right? Some of them can be very unserious. Some of them just wants to flex their muscles here and there. Like some of them are just disruptors, right? But the moment they step into that arena to present, oh my goodness, it is something else. These housemates, especially the second team, they took me on a journey last night. I remember one of my videos, I think it was yesterday or the other day, I had mentioned that horror movies, like horror is one of my favorite genres of movies to watch. I told you all how I enjoy watching horror most of the time because of the many ridiculous things that tends to happen in horror movies. It makes me laugh a lot. I know that a lot of you will find that weird. Yes, whatever. I know I'm weird. I know I'm twisted somehow, but I really love horror, right? And watching the two teams perform last night, ladies and gentlemen, it was kind of a tight one, but I kind of leaned towards the one that got me really terrified. Because I'm not easily terrified when watching horror movies, right? I mean, as a matter of fact, most of the time I enjoy watching horror movies at night, yes. So I kind of leaned towards the team that got me really terrified, that got me having goosebumps all over my body, yes, that got me, popping my eyeballs in disbelief, like, what the fuck is going on? What the hell am I watching? And Team 2 did just that for me. Yes. So as much as Big Brother has his own verdict, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. He's the owner of the house. I have my own verdict. All right. So on this video, we're going to talk about the verdicts. All right. We're going to talk about the two teams' performances and, give some honorable mentions to particular housemates that really pulled their weight, that really stood out in the entire performance. All right. And as I do that, of course, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead. Let me know which team's performance stood out the most for you. Which team did it for you? Which team gave you goosebumps? Which team really, stood out in their performances and everything in terms of also costumes, stage management, time management? Rate the housemates, rate the teams, all right? I want to see your own rating in the comment section, all right? And yeah, before we get into the video proper, ladies and gentlemen, a quick reminder that today by 3 p.m. WAT, we're going to be converging here for our YouTube live conversation. I look forward to seeing all of you because there's a lot to unpack. A lot has happened this week. Maybe not too much fighting type of drama, but there's been a lot. And we need to have a proper conversation about it all. So guys, make it a date with me. Do not miss out, all right? And yes, you are all specially welcome to my channel. My name is Glory Elijah. This is Frankly Speaking with Glory Elijah, and I call myself the girl with the tea. Without further ado, we dive right into the video. Okay, now, first things first, I'm going to be frank with all of you. I am not fully aware of the entire details of Big Brother's brief to this housemates with regards to the wager. All right, I'm not fully aware. However, I am aware that the housemates were supposed to, or rather instructed to, create a compelling performance, a compelling piece about facing your fears. And then there are meant to be rewards for facing your fears. About the rewards, I noticed that with Team 2, during their rehearsals, they kept on referring back to the details of the brief to pick out elements that Big Brother actually emphasized on in the brief. Yes. So, watching the first team now, beginning with the first team, watching the first team, I'm going to be frank with you. I loved their costumes. I loved Doris's look, However, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised because that seems to be like Doris's favorite look in the house, if you know what I mean. I think it was in the first week, or was this in the first week when they had that unmasking, is it masquerade ball? Yeah, when they had the unmasking task in the first week, Doris was literally looking the same, right? So I was kind of looking forward to something different, something spookier, I mean, she actually looked the part. She did look the part. I give that to her. She looked amazing. She looked kind of like a witch, yes, according to the part. But she looked the same to me. I was looking forward to something different, but yeah. So outlook was not really outstanding for me. And I think it's because I've seen her look that way before. In fact, twice when they had their dinner, their welcome dinner in that same first week, she was kind of looking the same as well. So I was actually expecting something fresh, different, unlike the second team, whose terrifying characters actually looked different. I mean, I think that was what really gagged me. That was what really shook me, because I'm like, oh my goodness, how did these housemates go from this to that, So Doris's outlook did not come with any major surprises, all right? But in terms of the zombies, the undead, in the persons of Big So, Tracy, oh my goodness, that was outstanding. That kind of jarred me a little bit. I saw them and I'm like, hey, get out of my dreams. Don't even come close to my dreams, otherwise I'm gonna eat you. They were terrifying. I'm not gonna lie. And Big So, oh my goodness, she really bodied that role. Come on. She really bodied the role. The way she was like, I'm like, girl, were you a zombie in your former life? She really bodied that role. It was fantastic. The blood stains looked real enough. Yes. So in terms of that, fantastic. Talk about the masquerade, Denari. Oh my God. Woof. That was real. I loved it. I loved the fact that they infused a bit of African elements to their story, right? Bringing in Denari as a proper Nigerian African, element to the storyline. It really made a lot of sense, because we know that when we talk about haunted mansions, most of the time, it's not a story that is relevant to the climb, to this Nigerian climb. It's not really talked about a lot, right? It might be talked about in the rural areas a lot, but it's not a big thing. But we know that when we talk about haunted mansions, it's very, very relevant in foreign countries. You talk about, you go to a place as a tourist, and you're being told that, there's this haunted mansion, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to check it out? Don't go there. And that kind of thing. It's a big deal. It's more like sometimes a national monument, So the fact that their story kind of also was talking about a haunted mansion, blah, blah. And then towards the end, we heard that, or we learned that Bright Morgan, the auntie had actually told him to invite his friends over for a party because she wanted to revenge on his behalf, against his friends who had been bullying him in school. That was a very, very powerful storyline. It was very beautiful. I loved it. It made a lot of sense. Yes. So storyline on point, costumes, great. Aside Doris's one that was repetitive for me, the rest was great. However, I think the reason I wasn't really terrified the reason I did not have goosebumps whilst watching their own performance is because it was kind of giving the vibe of escape room. Yeah, for those of you that enjoy watching horror movies just like me, you must have seen Escape Room, right? It was giving the vibe of escape room, right? I mean, these individuals that went to their friend's house to party, massive mansions, scary monsters here and there, and then they had to look for a key to open different doors to run around. It was just literally giving escape room vibes. And as far as I'm concerned, as a lover, as one who's a lover of horror movies, anything that has to do with escape rooms, it's not even the worst of the worst of horrors. Yeah, in my opinion, it's not even the scariest. It's not even the worst. It's just like mid horror level. That's the way I rate it. Yeah, I mean, my gut can actually stand it. So I wasn't particularly terrified. I think I was more, I think I was just kind of curious to see how they will excel in that whole situation and escape that whole situation. Yeah. But aside that, I also loved the poetic readings from Doris. That book, she kept on opening, magical. I loved it. Absolutely fantastic. It was giving this whimsical feel, this fantastical island sort of feel, like Maleficent. So I kind of really liked it. It was beautiful. They really managed their stage very well. I must give that to them. They really managed the stage. I loved the way they were running around the stage because the stage was kind of narrow, but they were able to figure out a way to maneuver the obstacle of the smallness and size of the stage. So that was really brilliant, Now, how their story ended, I don't know. Now, on this part, yeah, I did not kind of agree with Big Brother because when Big Brother was giving his verdict, he said for the second team, they started with a bang, but then their story ended on a whimper. On the contrary, I actually feel like the first team's storyline sort of ended on a whimper. Now, they did not start with a bang. So, quite frankly, I was actually expecting them to end on a bang, right? You did not begin with a bang, but you need to end with a bang. So they did not end with a bang for me, I felt like at that point in time when Bright revealed, that he had actually told his aunt, his sister, that they had been bullying him in school, I was actually expecting some sort of major sound effects like thunder and brimstone, that's going to now boom, like it's going to now give that moment of realization to his friends that, what? You actually sold us out? They'll be rushing him like they want to kill him, like, it's all because of you, you're in this problem. It's because of you. It's because of you. I shouldn't be here. It's because of that kind of thing. So I was kind of expecting something like that, right? But it did not happen. It just felt like they weren't really bothered that he spilled such a vital information. I mean, this is the reason they're actually dealing with all of these monsters in this haunted mansion. So I was actually expecting such a reaction. So for me, the reaction did not match the revelation, right? So for me, I felt like that end was mid. It did not make sense for me. But overall, they put up a beautiful performance. Now, on to the second team's performance. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go by my notes first because as much as I was deeply engrossed in their performance, in their presentation, I was also making out time to take notes because there were a lot of amazing things I was seeing, all right? And then I'm going to go by Big Brother's ratings as well, all right? So first, beginning with Menson's opening act. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've watched Scream, all the different sequels from part 1 to part 5, part 6, that opening scene was giving Scream 100%. It was gruesome. It was, the gore. I could only imagine the gore. The way Menson's character, pounced on Koyin and was like, bah, bah, bah. And Koyin too was, I'm like, what? Now, that was a bang. Talk about you wanna trigger the viewers into anticipating what to expect next in a movie, in a horror movie for that matter. That was a perfect opening. There was no better way to have started that particular storyline. It was amazing. amazing. Yes. And I think even the title of the story, I think they called it Death's Reading. Wow. Yeah. It was kind of spooky as well. I mean, not like the first team's title was not spooky enough. It actually was, but theirs was just perfect for what they were actually presenting. And then the next one was, yeah, I talked about Koyin's realistic death act. That was really, really compelling. And then Imisi's laughter and her body movement. Oh my goodness. Big Brother's question was spot on, asking Imisi if she was a witch in her former life. Ladies and gentlemen, that was perfect. How do I describe it? See, I think the rawness of Team 2's performance was heavily, okay, the rawness, the mood, the vibe, yeah? The mood, the vibe, the energy, the spookiness of Team 2's performance, aside the background music that was playing, I think it drew a lot of current from Imisi's laughter and screams as the witch in that story. It was a very, very vital element that if it had been missing, I don't know how it would have been able to piece together all of the puzzles of that story. It was a very, very necessary element, and I'm glad they infused it. Imisi's laughter, it was terrifying. I'm not even gonna lie. It was terrifying. At some point, she sounded like she went to the studio to auto-tune her voice because it was so real. It was perfect. Sometimes her laughter sounded like faraway echoes. You know, when you walk into an empty room and you scream and there are echoes, you know, there are remnants of the echoes still coming back to you like maybe 1 minute later. That was how sharp and perfect it was. I don't know if I'm using the right words to describe it, but it was just perfect. A costume, a outfit, and not just Imisi's outfit, the entire team's costume, that's the monsters, the terrifying monsters, their costume, perfect. It was different, it was new, it was refreshing. This entire season of Big Brother, I had never seen anything like it. Unlike Doris's one that I've actually seen like about twice, theirs was different. I've never seen anything like it. And you see all those Imisi's voluminous hair, all those are wigs. Finally, they came to good use because they were really necessary in the story. It's really, my God, guys, even speaking about it right now, I'm having goosebumps. Perfect, perfect. Imisi ate up her role to perfection. For that, I give her 100/1%. She did exceedingly well. She did justice to that role that she played. Yeah. Now, the next person was Sultana's weird and cold, almost unalive demeanor. Yeah, the tarot reader. Guys, Sultana's look, her outfit, her tone of voice, perfect. Perfect. Oh my God. She bodied that role. She bodied the role. She bodied the role. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. And yeah, Faith, Avatar, Mide. Yeah, Faith, Avatar, and Mide's screams. Oh my God, especially Mide's screams. Mide should consider a career in acting because that girl has a PhD in terrifying screams. The way she cries is so believable. The way she screams, and even the way she was crying, I think it turned real at some point. And it made it all the more believable. And one thing about horror movies is the way the characters react to the things around them. It tends to make it believable or not. So, you see Faith, Avatar, Mide, and Koyin, the way they were, the way they were screaming, that was what was really sending the currents, the energy currents, guys. Hey God, my brain is mixing up. The energy currents of their story around and around and around, and that was what was giving me goosebumps. Yeah. Now, for their storyline, I think it made a lot of sense. I think it did. The tarot reading. Although it kind of seemed foreign, right? It kind of seemed foreign, but I was okay with it because Imisi's role as the witch, it was kind of universal. I mean, universally, there's a witch in every part of the world, so it did not make it overly foreign. But even if it was foreign, it was still okay. It was still fine. The way K Bobo and Isabella got onto that stage, like the undead, and then they killed Faith, and then K Bobo carried Faith. Perfect. Perfect. Perfectly executed. At some point, I was scared that K Bobo's weight was going to crush Faith, but no, he had control. He had balance as he was going down the floor with Faith. Perfect. Really perfect. What else did I like? Yeah, I said the believability of the storyline, the characters' actions and reactions, very believable, very, very compelling. The fear factor, guys, I was genuinely terrified. I told you all 1,000,000 times over now that I had goosebumps all over my body. My hair was almost standing, yeah, but thank God it's in cornrows. And then the costumes, impeccable. Menson's costume, perfect. Imisi's costume, perfect. The zombies, K Bobo, Isabella, perfect. Costume, perfect. Their usage of the stage, also perfect. The only difference was that they did not come down the floor of the stage, but it was perfect. It was excellent, all right? Now, on to Big Brother's ratings. Big Brother said that the cold opening meant that they started the story with a bang, obviously, yeah. And then he said that they created curiosity for the viewers, to want to see how the story would unfold. I totally agree. Same thing I said. They said their decision to use the tarot cards as a medium to convey their fears was good. I think it was excellent. Yeah, I think it was excellent. And then Imisi and Sultana, they bodied their roles. They received worthy, honorable mentions. But I kind of felt like, Mide was also deserving of honorable mentions. In fact, Mide, Koyin, who else? Menson, the way he attacked Mide at the beginning, honorable mentions as well. Yes. So in that regard, I did not agree with what I said. Those two, they were excellent in their roles, but these other people I mentioned, they were also deserving of honorable mentions. Now, Biggie concluded his ratings by saying that even though the story started with a bang, it ended with a whimper. I totally disagree. And I disagree with Big Brother because, remember, according to the brief, there should be rewards for facing your fears. So according to Team 2's storyline, 2 people did not face their fears. So they died. Now, the other 2, I think in a way they were able to face their fears, if I'm not wrong. So they got rewards, right? The tarot reader, Sultana, came back on that stage and said, oh, congratulations, you faced your fears. And then boom, gave Mide back her sight because at some point she was blind, she could not see. Gave her back her sight. And then Ivata too came and both of them, they were able to escape that whole situation. Now, afterwards, next day, the tarots were still on the floor and a passerby, Dede, comes by and saw it on the floor with that same, okay, maybe not Ivata because Ivata was playing the role of somebody else. Yeah. So 2 people, 2 strangers, they were passing by and they saw the tarot cards and they're like, oh my God, look at tarot cards. We can actually use it to play our game. And they were like, oh yeah. And then they moved away. And the witch came back laughing because for her, she's gotten her next bunch of praise, to toy around with. For me, I think that was excellent. Why? Because it's an indication that the story continues and it is relevant in contemporary society because everybody has fears every day. Everybody has major fears. Everybody has little fears. Everybody has fears that they deal with every single day. So the fact that those passers-by, they came and took the tarot cards, it means they too are going to go and deal with the game of facing their fears. And the witch was happy about it because, yes, another day to mess around with these motherfuckers. So I think that kind of ended in a bang. The only thing that was missing at that point in time was a very crazy soundtrack that would have given us the boom, 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 boom. That kind of thing to indicate that, oh yes, watch out for part 2. That kind of thing. So frankly speaking, I did not agree with Big Brother. And if you ask me, I would tell you time and time again that Team 2 deserved to win the wager. But according to Big Brother, their performances were okay, decent, and he's not ready to award a decent performance. And so he declared to them that they had lost their wager. In a way, I'm kind of glad they lost. No, he declared to them that they had lost their wager. And I was kind of glad that they lost their wager because, not because they did not do great, they actually did great, but because these housemates had been hoarding food. And so during the day yesterday, Big Brother had instructed them to put back all the food items that they've been hiding in their boxes in the kitchen. And that was exactly what they did. I think I'm going to speak more about that on my next video, all right? But anyways, this video has been too lengthy already. Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead, share with me your thoughts in the comment section below. I asked you all questions at the start. Let me know which team you felt did best and which team you felt could have taken the win. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll see you guys on my next video. Thanks for watching. Have an amazing, amazing day. Bye.